series is against Nongshim as well later on this week, so this is not the last series that they'll play. They will have to win another one if they want to have that chance of making it to playoffs. So this is a brutal week for Fredit Brion, a team of, you know, overall rookies here in the LCK.
Fredit Brion could be saved theoretically by KT in our next match.
Yeah.
But Fredit Brion need to do a little bit better than this, right? Because a win for KT is also a death blow to Fredit Brion as well. And it just means that race for the playoffs is going to change ever so slightly. HLE Esports getting rid of the Udyr here, as it looks like they are gunning for that Thresh first pick. But as you can see, Fredit Brion are going to keep the same bans in mind as the Lucian and the Renekton. Going to be taken off the board. I think a lot of people will share my my caution when it comes to not banning something like that Thresh away from HLE Esports. But now there are so many things that they need to worry about because Hecarim also left up.
I think that has to be banned here from Fredit Brion. You cannot let that go through, or HLE Esports 100% first pick it. And even if it does go through, HLE have a lot of opportunities. They'll ban the Thresh, which is also...
I actually think it's almost more important, to be honest.
It's rough now because you have to deal with one or the other. Very likely it'll be the Hecarim pick here for Johan. You know, we've talked about a lot of really strong first picks. The Hecarim, the Udyr, some of the top ones. You know, Seraphine goes into this blue side slot a lot of the time. The Thresh has been in there, but when you have to ban away the Lucian early, you have to ban away the Renekton, it leaves so many opportunities for HLE Esports, because against other teams, like, there would be a Hecarim in that spot instead of the Lucian, but against HLE Esports, you know, you just don't feel comfortable giving that one away.
Oh, this is another... I swear, Kaiser has become that trap pick, you know, as Umpty's going to take the Lilia. It's not a great matchup into the Hecarim, nor did he have the greatest time in the last game.
It's rough. Like, this is a really risky start to the draft here for Fredit Brion.
Yeah.
And these two champions in a vacuum are normally very safe picks, but into Hecarim...
And also they were safe picks like a patch or two ago, right?
Yeah.
But it's just not the same sort of feeling as, yeah, you might take away Death's option to play the, you know, the Thresh champions, but Senekench is like, we've seen how dumb this is, dude. Like, Teddy and Keria obliterated with this exact combo. Keria getting a player of the game with Tahm Kench of all champions, as Yaharong thinking about the Pigeon Man.
Well, you know, I like this Azir pick the most out of all the ones they've had so far. You're going to try to lock down the mid matchup, and it is very strong blind, and it is going to be picked up before the second ban phase. So they have this strong anchor here for this composition on paper that can target now some of Chovy's picks here. They can take away the Orianna, and, you know, you might even potentially consider banning the Yone here. I don't think it's necessarily the best option given the Hecarim pick, but something we could see certainly. Don't think you want to ban Syndra here just because Chovy does not like to play that champion. Victor,
I was thinking that could be the option. Victor's win rate actually pretty fantastic last week, to be honest. Even though we did see it being picked up in some interesting places, was still able to win more often than not. As the final ban here, we'll see whether it is another aim towards that bottom side of the map, as it will be the Gragas taken away. Certainly a very good option into the Tahm Kench, as you can move two people theoretically if you get it at the right timing.
I think here, you know, you've got to grab a support because you need to at least have counter pick for top if you're Fredit Brion. And I mean, Alistar is available, one of, you know, Delight's better picks. One of the only ones he has a winning win rate on, but they're actually going to pick the Gnar blind and save that support pick for last. And this means we could see something like the Jace coming through.
Wow. Corki Azir. Okay. We're back to Corki Azir. Okay. Thanks, Chovy. How many champions do you want to play? As this is going to be the first time that he's played Corki, and I think it's about his 200th pick this season.
18th technically, but yeah, we're getting
18th.
very close.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to round that up to 200. As there's the Scion, pretty understandable there. This is going to mean that that's a lot of consistent magic damage, a lot of consistent physical damage coming out of Deft, of course, and then a pretty immovable front line. HLE Esports have taken what was their 1-3-1 comp and turned it into this absolutely epic teamfighting composition.
Yeah, I do like this from HLE because, you know, in some ways you might think, well, it's a little bit weird to see the Scion here in the top lane because he's going to be facing off against a lot of magic damage. The burn damage is going to be real from Lilia. And then Azir is obviously going to poke through a lot of that later on. But I think it just gives you such a great opportunity with the Senna here and the Corki. You have so much range damage actually behind this front line that it ends up being very potent, because if you try to burst down or burn down the Scion here, then the damage that is going to be coming out from the Corki and Senna is just so much that you can't really front-to-back team fight anymore. It's really difficult to take those engages as Gnar. And in a weird, interesting way, I feel like the Hecarim ends up being kind of the odd man out of the composition. And that's good drafting, though. When you start with a priority pick like the Hecarim, and then your draft completely changes its identity as it goes through, means you can draft so many different styles of play. And that's why HLE Esports is so terrifying. I mean, the Hecarim pick is not bad here by any means.
Of course not.
But it's like, okay, well, you look at Hecarim and you go, well, this comp is strong because of the Hecarim. Not really, actually. It's strong because of its front-to-back team fighting. The Hecarim can bolster that, obviously, with his ultimate in some of those later fights, but...
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Like, you see Hecarim, you think dive comp, right?
Yeah.
You think everyone's going to try and go in. You want to pick the Kai'Sa, and then, oh no, Fredit Brion have picked away the Kai'Sa. Well, I mean, Kai'Sa's not exactly the way that she used to be anymore, and you can certainly play her very well in dive-style compositions, but that's not what they've decided to go with. They then lock away the center that has been so good for Deft throughout this season. And we've been very hard on HLE Esports drafting throughout their last few weeks. Sometimes it has been, you know, not exactly what you want to see out of our LCK teams, but so far today, and if these are the two games we're going to see from HLE Esports, it makes that Hanwha T1 match very exciting, as Deft has found Yaharong. Chovy's there as well. And yeah, he's going to have to go home.
That's a back.
Yep.
And that's a free ward on the Raptors that comes with it. Very well played here in the early stage. Could have been worse if Yaharong made a mistake, or if Deft was able to lock in his route and hit that. No, he did not lock that in. But
love Chovy's skin choice as well.
Yeah.
The eye patch Corgi, very much like it.
Yeah, it's very cool, and I like most of Corgi skins. I like the Corgi and Rumble are my favorite Yordles because they're just kind of so silly, and they have their little machines they have.
I think like Rumble, I don't know whether he gets better on the Korean client because he's just so noisy, but I agree, big fan. Also a lot of the Rumble skins. Super Galaxy, not my personal favorite, but
I like the one
Rumble
where
in the
he's
jungle's so good.
I don't know the name of it, where he's got the eye patch. It's a little bit of a pirate Rumble. That's my favorite.
Oh yeah, that was one of his base skins as well.
Yeah.
Came out alongside original Rumble as well as Rumble in the jungle. Like that. Hoya just going to take a bit of damage here from Morgan, who's going to be on his weak side Scion once again. 5-1 win rate on this champion as well, similar to his Renekton, as Deft 2-1 so far on the Senna. And Vista's just going to be doing his best to farm things up. There's the pole flash from Delight, as Deft is going to have to flash out as well, create some distance. They do trade flashes, it's exactly what you want.
I mean, you could just see, too, I mean, with the range that Senna has and how quickly that fight can turn. He goes down very low, but it's Fredit Brion who's walking away as soon as they can't get the execute. You do not want to lose another summoner spell. So it ends up being pretty well handled here. Deft has to flash, but it was a very close call. And Deft is sitting now very comfortably here in the lane. Despite the lack of a flash here, it's Lilia jungle, and I think that he is just going to be able to sit here and coast through this early game now.
Yep, should be okay. That being said, I mean, it is a good start and a good trade from Fredit Brion. So let's see whether this pressure can continue. As Deft does land a bit of a snare, but he's still going to be a little bit worse for wear afterwards. We'll have to go through a few of his biscuits and co in order to make sure that he keeps himself healthy. They missed the cannon. That's bad news, Bears.
Yeah, I was watching that myself.
But this is a lane where you shouldn't be winning early, right?
No.
As the center Tahm Kench, it is highly defensive. And Henna and Delight, with the fact that they've been playing proactively, it's exactly how you're supposed to do it. So let's see whether they can continue putting on this pressure, see whether maybe Umpty's going to be able to help out, as Johan's going to pretty comfortably secure this Rift Scuttler and now look towards that bottom side, as he's actually farming a little bit faster here than Umpty at the moment.
He went straight to the bottom side of the map, too, when he saw the way the prio was. As you mentioned this matchup being kind of a mainstay for quite a while.
We've seen almost all of the classic Azir matchups so far this year. It's like Azir Victor, Azir Orianna, and now the Azir Corki, one of the more recent, extraordinarily boring Azir matchups.
Yeah, it can be quite boring, especially when Lilia jungle for the Azir. A little bit tougher to make those level 6 timings work out. It's possible, but again, not easy. Not one of your staple Azir ganks. Or if it was Hecarim on the other side, or the Udyr we've seen so much with the Azir, then I think he'd be feeling a lot happier about it. He was, as a fan, you know, excited to see potentially those ganks.
Oh, Yaharong not going to be able to trade super well without very much mana, but does have that one last charge of the Corrupting Potion. That's going to help him out there. Time Warp Tonic looking like it also gave him a bit of an assistance.
Well, it's a bit of a quiet one here, Atlas, before the first Drake comes up. And, you know, either of these junglers can put a lot of extra pressure on that first Mountain Drake because it's just so tough to solo at this stage of the game. So it's just going to be a bit of a slower one. No Olaf's or Udyr's in here.
Nope. And I think it does benefit Hanwha Esports if this game goes slow, right?
Yes.
We're talking about a Corki who has item spikes upon item spikes, but I think it's third item that is going to be very, very powerful. We'll see where he goes with the build. Of course, it has been a while since we've seen Corki as Yaharong. Not level 6 just yet, as Trophy had actually teleported back to lane early. Does have himself about a 9 CS advantage. Cull completed as well as that Corrupting Potion. So just looking to scale as Deft looks for the snare, doesn't quite find it. Just trying to play this one out aggressively with the lane in a very nice position here for Hanwha.
This team fight composition or how the composition of Fredit Brion's drafted will function in team fights is very skill-based. It is very much execution-based because, you know, there's a lot of combos and setups you can have. The pressure is going to be on Delight and Hoya for a lot of those, you know, initiations. Umpty, obviously, as well, is going to have chances to set up for a big sleep and then lead into some of those combos. But again, not easy to pull off here. And for Hanwha Esports, their comp is pretty straightforward in terms of front-to-back team fighting. You've got a lot of poke, you've got a lot of range behind an insane tank in Sion. So, and not to mention Devour is going to make you even more survivable. So I am worried for Fredit Brion if the game goes late because of that, even though they have good scaling in the Azir and also the Kai'Sa, arguably. But
Johan looking for the wraparound here. Wants the Gromp, hasn't spotted Umpty just yet. As he pulls this one out, Vista and Deft are making their way up, so it's a little bit less dangerous as now Umpty spotted out, takes so much damage and will get snared. Hep-up Pulve is good onto Deft and Vista though, as Yaharong will get the inside track immediately. That's going to be Morgan coming on over as Deft manages to get out of the belly just in time and stays safe. The train not going to really do too much there, as you can see in Fredit Brion. Now trying to limp away, but the AoE is starting to follow them. Johan gets through, Chovy flashes, and there's the phosphorus bomb for the kill on the Pigeon. Hanwha Esports take first blood and win the first skirmish.
What a great fight for Hanwha Esports. Looked risky for a moment. I mean, Johan was so out of position, and he was trying to rejoin the rest of his squad. The Emperor's Divide, unfortunately, didn't set up. Oh, yeah, not done yet.
Goodbye.
What? Okay.
Sometimes you just want to come and have a look at your blue buff, I guess.
That's not it, unfortunately. I mean, that's a small mistake, but when the stakes are this high, I mean, that's the kind of play that can actually cost you playoffs, you know? The small mistakes like that compounding upon themselves, that is going to be a rough start to this potentially last game of the series. And, I mean, the Azir ult in that fight, you know, didn't really set up any follow-up. It kind of zoned some of Hanwha Esports out for just a second, but things got messy as
it was almost so good though, because it picked up Vista mid-Devourers. There's the Onslaught of Shadows. Goodbye, Umpty. And I have a feeling that the Mental may have taken a bit of a bruising from game one.
Yeah. Where are we at over here? I mean, you can't be making plays like this, especially right before potentially a Herald is going to get taken. And we're going to watch this skirmish once more as Johan kind of gets cut off because he's committing to the Gromp completely here. So he's kind of out in no man's land as the rotations come through. You mentioned Yaharong being here first. Let's watch this Emperor's Divide once again.
Look at the Devour and how immediately Deft gets out.
Yeah, he's like, I am out of here. And then, you know, he's actually very safe as the rest of the
that sets up the front to back beautifully, actually.
Because no one else can actually challenge him anymore.
Oh, Hoya coming on over here as he does get a gnaw, but it is just onto Deft, who immediately explodes. The Rift Herald will be taken here by Johan, who's looking to now try and escape. So I guess theoretically you're going to trade HLE for a Senna, and you're probably okay with that, but Deft a little bit in no man's land right there.
Yeah.
Side laning Vista right now.
Yep, I mean, that's what you got to do sometimes is the Kench. You're not on the bench.
Yeah, but, you know, Deft can't really be positioning like that if there's no Devourer available,
Nope.
So maybe the fact that he was playing alongside a Tom Kench for the beginning of this game and a Thresh for the entirety of last game does make you feel a little bit more immortal than you are actually.
Well, you know, we're gonna watch this one more time here for Umpty on. He's like trying to double camp here at this point, which you know Lilia can do, but I mean,
it was just a little bit too greedy.
It's super greedy, insane. So we came into this fight a little bit late here, and the Rift Herald is insanely low. They do have to commit. You know, you see the kill onto Def, but HLE Esports are still the winners here because they were able to get the Rift Herald. Chovy just goes back to lane.
Yeah.
And now I think HLE are in a really nice position to take this with the lane prio they have, this Drake as well. And I don't think Fredit Brion should contest this. Unfortunately, they just don't really have a way to get in and do so.
And the package is available as well, so that means that even more power going over to HLE. And it looks like this this team fight is not to be. I have a feeling it's just going to be a Mountain Drake given on over as Deft helping good old Johan out with this one.
And they consider a fight too. Like the fact that they're even posturing around this makes me worried because you cannot win this fight right now, Fredit Brion.
And you may as well be somewhere else trying to get something else, right?
Yeah. I think there are a few nerves coming through here for Fredit Brion. And, you know, it's starting to show. The cracks are certainly starting to show. I mean, look at this mid matchup.
Yep, Chovy just going to use a very, very nicely placed Valkyrie. And Johan almost didn't need to come in for that one, but always giving over assists is a good idea. So you might say KS. I say efficiency.
Yep.
And he's going to make up for it. Delivers a Herald over to the Corki, and this lane's done.
This lane is, I mean, this lane was done earlier, but it is burnt now. Like it is
extra done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we've gone beyond done.
Yeah. If this was on the fire in Valheim, it would be coal. 100%.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is now Umpty's trying to clean up the mess. For Brion, I don't want to say they're out of this game. You know, I don't want to call it over, but it is certainly going to be an uphill battle from here on out, and a lot of that is going to come down to really good execution around 5v5 team fights. And taking these small skirmishes like this, I mean, you just can't be doing that. Like, Shurima shuffles forward, doesn't get the Emperor's Divide, and when you don't know where Johan is, like, you should not be making plays like that. I mean, he's just so desperate to catch back up.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, he did have Umpty waiting there, but, I mean, the Valkyrie positioning was just so good from Chovy as well. Made sure he created just enough distance, at just enough of an angle in order to not get scooped and also be exactly there in order to chase him down. So really nicely played from Chovy. Looks like it's going to be that shield bow build. I like this. With the amount of extra options when it comes to Sheens,
yeah,
you're not sort of forced into going for Trinity Force or like these other, like even Divine Sunder or things like that. With the fact that Essence Reaver is now a thing, it means that the Mythics are so much more flexible here for the Corki, and
yeah,
it really has been a good option.
And you can also change your Mythic based on how the game state is.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's what you're trying to say. And like, in this case, you know, going for the Mortal Shield Bow is just super nice because you have already such a great escape, and then you're going to have the shield on top of it. No one can punish you.
Oh dear, Umpty's just getting hunted down in his jungle by this Hecarim. But the thing is, like, no one's surprised about this. Right?
Yeah, no.
Like, they picked Lilia into Hecarim, and it's already a really difficult time. Even if she can farm a little bit faster in the early stages, it's just the amount that you get from the Hecarim that's just so much more than the Lilia, and he's able to utilize his power so nicely.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not too dissimilar from the Udyr we saw last game, and this is twice in a row. They've prioritized the Lilia, and unfortunately are just getting a bit crushed in the jungle because of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at where we are all over the map. Prio in all lanes. Like, Morgan's up a level over Hoya.
How did?
And
yeah, and
we
haven't even been watching this top lane and just sort of naturally the Scion's winning. That's not how that one's supposed to go.
It's not how it's supposed to go. I mean, it's not supposed to be dominant like that.
Yeah. And also, Fredit Brion know that Morgan was going to pick the Scion, right? They banned it in game number 1. Hoya picked the Gnar, hoping that, you know, this was going to be his answer to the Scion. Hyper does work relatively well, but just not able to work out as the rest of the map has been a disaster. And
I'll be honest with you, Atlas, and I think a lot of people probably feel the same. I'm a little bit disappointed with this series from Fredit Brion because they had so much time to prepare for this. It was going to be such a critical series. It was one of the ones we were most excited about for this week, you know, because Fredit Brion were on the up and up, and Hanwha was in good form, and I felt like this could be a top-tier series that went all 3 games. You expect Hanwha to win it, but you do not expect Hanwha to walk all over it, you know, as if the series belonged to them. Like their
especially
name was
after they
Oh, no.
Didn't find the first one, as Umpty's going to do it again. There's the Onslaught of Shadows. Goodbye, my friend. Beautifully executed. Gank attempt. Umpty goes golden just to watch his death. That is a Zhonya, so he doesn't waste anything for it as Chovy moves on over. Looks for Yaharong, but instead he'll just get this ward.
They also positioned so well there. Johan and Chovy did some... The Emperor's Divide can only push one of them away. So, I mean, it's a pretty...
And Johan's going to be jumping away anyway, so
yeah.
Unless you get him before the devastating charge, like, it's just already over. I've been very impressed with Johan so far today.
Yeah, really. I mean, me too. And he's definitely been on the ups and downs otherwise over the past few weeks. And a lot of people are calling for Arthur to return, but he has been on form.
Yeah, Morgan misses that cannon creep, so thanks for that one, Jonah Strong. And now might just die as Hoya about to hit Mega. There's the flash forward. A beautiful ultimate there
that was so
from Morgan to avoid the CC.
And he's able to get the flash out of Hoya. So that's, I mean, that's a huge exchange here for Hanwha Esports. The one place where things look like they might be okay for Fredit Brion. Maybe they can make a play. Maybe they can get something, anything in this game. And it all just goes wrong.
Yeah.
The ult there, because he cannot be stunned. If you guys got confused by that, that's what that said in Korean, unstoppable over his head.
Yep.
Can't be stunned out of the ultimate, so he cannot gnar him into the wall.
It's named correctly, as it turns out, as Yaharong might just be solo killed, and he is. Chovy just chases him down. Very, very dead is the Azir. And I remember the Corki Azir matchup, Wolf, and I remember it being a little bit more even than this.
Yeah, no, this is not going well. I mean, he's 4-0-1. I think the mental fortitude has been shattered here. Mental boom is a term we sometimes use.
Yeah.
Minbong, you know, is the term for it in Korean. That's where mental boom comes from. But yeah, this is not the kind of game where Fredit Brion are playing to their best. This is not the amount of skill that Fredit Brion have showcased in the last few weeks. The pressure is at its highest, and it shows with these players. That's really unfortunate.
God, Chovy. That big one hurt a lot. As we've got back-to-back Cloud Souls, you welcome everyone. Atlas, just, the opening day of Week 10, I've really got to come in strong, you know, with my superpower, which is commanding the clouds. And I will bring them towards everyone. As, yes, we are quite quizzical when it comes to the Cloud Soul. I agree. So let's have a look at this replay one more time.
Yeah, I mean, this is unfortunately Umpty getting caught here. He does have his Zhonias, as you mentioned, but look at the split here.
Yeah, he's just dead.
Chovy just goes to the left, so he can't get Emperor's Divided away. I mean, there's nothing you could do. And this is actually just...
Oh, yeah, and his Q was on cooldown, so couldn't create the extra distance with the shifting sands. Just dead.
And it's also...
Had flash, but...
He shouldn't have to be able to do that much damage at this stage in the game, but he's just so far ahead, it doesn't matter. He was, what, up 2 levels, I think, in that exchange? Still up 2 levels in this game.
Well, now Chovy's going to turn up with a 2-level advantage over Hoya as well. And, yeah, Hoya's just like, nah, I guess I ain't going to be in this lane anymore. I wonder where I can go now.
I mean, remember when I said I don't think we should say this game is over? I think we should say that now. And,
yeah.
And unfortunately, like... This is just the end of the line here for Fredit Brion. And we haven't even seen a proper team fight where this front-to-back power of Corki, Senna...
Yeah, remember, this is a scaling draft.
Yeah.
Hanwha Esports.
Yeah, we haven't even seen how it's going to get much worse later, because it is going to get much worse later for Fredit Brion.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have a miracle sleep or something like that, I mean, the damage output just isn't there for this team, and it's not scaling up yet. We have no Mythic for Yaharong.
I mean, we're missing 3 mythics on the side of Fredit Brion. We got all of them here for Hanwha Esports. And that's with a Corki in the game who doesn't even build it. His first item, of course, there's a Lilia over the other side, as now Umpty, speaking of which, is going to give the thumbs up to Morgan, who takes, about a damage, maybe a damage.
About 1.
Yeah. And,
give or take.
And damage. Yeah. And Chovy just oh my... The rockets are just so painful. Maybe it's the fact that I haven't seen Corki in a while. I believe we saw him a couple of times in the Kesper Cup.
Yeah.
Then he just sort of fell out of fashion. Here in the LCK.
Yeah, he was banned a few times, and I think Lava actually was the one who played him last time, if I'm not mistaken, in the LCK.
Yeah, I mean, Lava was always our Corki aficionado, right? Like, we actually thought that his champion pool consisted of Orianna and Corki.
Yeah, you said it last game, too. It almost feels like the drafting we saw from Hanwha Esports was, showing a lack of respect for Fredit Brion, and then you have Chovy playing the Corki, which is Lava's historic champion. Lava's not in the game because they played Yaharong today instead, but, it feels like there's almost a subtext to this. There really isn't, but I mean, I'm trying to build narrative for what is a What is a series that feels very over, Atlas? And it's really sad because I was hoping we were going to be yelling and screaming and getting hyped about Fredit Brion. The Royal Road dream is alive and things like that. And, you know, it just has not been.
But instead we can get excited about Morgan and Johan, who are really stepping up, right? Like, Hanwha Esports were a team at the beginning of the season that we were talking about, like, this is Chovy and Deft against the world, and now Johan is going to receive Cast Curse, but no, instead he's just going to run extraordinarily fast and face check Hoya. So maybe it's not all over just yet, as he gets devoured from over the wall, doesn't even have to use the ultimate, and Umpty is probably dead. Chovy, that was somewhat aggressive, one could say, is now some potential trouble here for the Tahm Kench, as Umpty was burning down for a while, goes down to a single-digit health bar, but...
Yeah, Henna has to heal to keep him alive. For LoL Esports, if they kill him there, they... Oh, no. There's a ward there.
Oh, he's KWing as well.
Why do you think they're standing there? Get out of here. Oh, he's still okay, but...
No, I don't think they could see them over the...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's
right.
Just out of range.
Yeah, he didn't have. He also doesn't have minion wave there. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
So Chovy knew that there were 4 people.
Yes, he was like, I'm going to do this by myself. There's 4 people. It's almost 5. I mean, Hoya's very nearby, and Delight has a ward on this. Is able to flash through.
I mean, it is Pole Flash, and then Blast Cone gets him as well. So it's a it's a series of unfortunate events for Chovy, but still. Probably not the face check you want to go for.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few moments like this with Chovy when he's very ahead on the Lucian. Usually is where it ends up being, where he tries to have some crazy flank like that. But hey, I mean, despite the death, they reset. Now they've got Baron control.
Yeah, package now going to be delivered over to Delight, and he does have the ulti available, so it keeps him alive for a little while longer, but he is still very dead, as now Johan going to get the devastating charge back. Umpty straight into a knock-up, and he is going to be obliterated as well. Hanwha now to go back to the Baron that they'd started earlier.
It is certainly, you know, tied up, packaged, you know, to bring this back to the Corki. The ribbon is being put on the gift that Hanwha Esports are about to send their fans here. They're going to trade this for a Drake, but it's Cloud Soul, as you mentioned. It's not too impactful on its own.
Yeah, you know? One solitary Cloud Drake when Hanwha Esports probably wanted to win this game before. There is a possible Soul anyway.
Exactly. So
it's a rough time.
This is... Oh, we're just going to watch this again. Unfortunately, you can't make that same play twice, Delight. Gets rooted, and that's the end of him. And once he's down, I mean, what can you even hope to accomplish here as Fredit Brion? And unfortunately, Umpty has just been less than 0 impact this game into this matchup. And when you start to get ahead, as far ahead as Hanwha Esports are, it just becomes a bigger and bigger issue. Because you can't even get into range to hit a Q to set up a sleep before you're burst down by the Senna and the Corki. And you have a big blocker in front of you in terms of the Scion. Like, it's just a nightmare.
I want to talk about Corki just for another second because, of course, love me some item spikes. He's hit his 3rd one. The Infinity Edge now completed on top of the Essence Reaver and his Sork Boots and the Shield Bow. This is a very, very big Corki. He'll have his next power spike when the Rapid Fire Cannon is completed as well. Oh my goodness, very, very scary.
Well, will he, or will the game end before then?
Well, I mean, that might just happen. That might be the way that Fredit Brion avoid that particular power spike, but it's not exactly the optimal way of doing so. Almost a 10,000 gold lead here at 23 minutes into the game. And Hanwha are really playing with a vengeance. And remember, the next match for Hanwha Esports is T1.
That's right. That's their final match of the split.
And it's going to be tough, right? Like, I think that, you know, there are a lot of analysts out there that are putting T1 certainly closer to the top than the standings would say. So looking forward to seeing whether Hanwha can prove that either wrong or right. Certainly going to be exciting as in goes Hoya and out goes Hoya. Goodbye, my friend. He will get stunned. As, okay, Dawning Shadow says no, and the no option of doing anything. Johan running extraordinarily quickly, or galloping, or cantering, depending on, I guess I didn't quite see his kilometers per hour at that point.
I mean, Atlas, this is the stage of the game where, you know, your front line is a Gnar or an Alistair, both of whom are burst down before they can be relevant because the damage output is just
And
too
also,
high.
Hoya has a Black Cleaver, right? Like, there is no real defensive stats outside of health, and that is not going to do it for you.
Definitely
as far as frontlining. And he was looking for a possible Gnar, but Hanwha Esports just a little bit too far ahead, able to move out of the way very comfortably. Yaharong gonna get snared. Possible sleep to come through here, but Umpty not even gonna pull the trigger.
Looking like we're going to have the final moments of this game here, the final moments of this series. Fredit Brion, one last stand.
Yep, Morgan in the front line, looking pretty comfy. Okay, here's the sleep. We do land it on it too. There is the Flash Emperor's Divide as the horse goes down very early, but Yaharong should be taken down. It's a really nice pulverize in the back line as the Corki is taken down as well, but not before he grabs himself a double kill, and now Delight is going to be hunted down by Deft. He has no mana, but he doesn't need it. Does grab the double kill. Is it going to be the full house? Deft's full of Chovies? The answer is maybe no. As Hoya, oh, maybe yes. He gets slowed down. Now Vista lands another tongue lash, and that is going to be that. The triple kill comes through. The ace goes down, and that is going to be Morgan clearing out these Nexus turrets and getting to work here. 25 minutes, a shellacking in game number 2. Hanwha Esports playing with pride, playing with vengeance against Fredit Brion, and they will say goodbye to them. Unfortunately now, I think it's almost mathematically impossible for Fredit Brion to make playoffs.
It is in fact mathematically impossible, and it's sad that Fredit